Hey, this is Chris, but my friends call me Stones. Thanks for checking out my channel. And thanks for checking out my latest video. Today is Friday, it is not Thursday. If you've never seen any of my videos before, I go to yard sales, I go to garage sales, I go to estate sales, I go to normal stores, I go to Amazon return stores, I go to recycling events to find things to resell for a profit. To make a full-time living. I've been doing this since June 1st of last year when I lost my full-time job with an insurance company and had nothing else to do, or at least I didn't want to do anything else. So I start going in this area. Yard sales start on Thursdays, and I start looking for yard sales on Thursdays and continue on throughout the whole weekend. But this Thursday there was nothing. I found nothing. I found 2 yard sales, didn't buy anything, so I had nothing to show. Just like last week, if you saw last week's video, went out, found yard sales, didn't buy anything on Thursday, only found one thing on Friday, and then made up for it on Saturday where I bought a bunch of stuff. So Thursday I didn't find anything, but today made up for it already, so I'm already happy. If I don't find anything on Saturday, I'm good with that. But I'm going to show you some things. I'm going to show you everything, but I put it out of order just to save the best from last. So I went to this 1 yard sale, paid $1 a piece for these action figures. This is a Todd McFarlane original. I originally thought it was maybe a Halo villain, but it's not. He's not worth a whole lot. I thought he was really unusual. I thought maybe he might be worth something, but even in brand new condition, still in the package, he's only worth about 12 bucks. I picked up these action figures, these Power Ranger action figures, and if you know me, I pick up anything and everything Power Rangers, especially Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, especially Lost Galaxy, which is what this black one is. Some of these will end up in my collection. Some of them, I have a bunch of Power Ranger stuff that I've been hoarding, and I think I'll eventually put those up for auction starting this Sunday. Finally get pictures of those. I've been holding off. And then this Jurassic Park action figure. This is one of the earlier ones. You can always tell because they have a JP or a J written on them. And I already have a bunch of other Jurassic Park action figures that I picked up at yard sales from the Goodwill bins, and they do really well. So I'll just put this with that listing. Went to this other yard sale. Originally for these 2 things, originally guy wanted 10 bucks. But I talked him down to 6 because 10 bucks was way too much. Picked up this Wii Guitar Hero Aerosmith edition. Even at 3 bucks, that's a little bit more than what I would have normally paid for it. But I pick these up all the time, all the Guitar Hero stuff, because I have access to a lot of the controllers, a lot of the guitars, especially at the recycling events. I see quite a few of them. So if I throw it in a game with a controller, it seems to sell a lot better. So that's the reason why I picked that up. But this caught my eye first, and originally he thought it was a video game, and that's why he brought out all the other video games, which resulted in me getting this. But it is not a video game. This is manga, which I'm a fan of, and so I may end up keeping this. But this one's unusual because, first of all, it's 100% Japanese, and I didn't even look inside the manga itself, which is the comic book, to see if it's in Japanese. But this actually has an audio CD in there as well as some trading cards. It's like a limited edition box set. And I looked this up on eBay and I could only find one listing, and it's out of Japan. And they're charging like 20, with a conversion, it's like $25, $30 plus shipping. Again, I might keep this for myself, so it may not even matter how much it's worth. Then I pulled up to this other yard. This is actually the first one I went to. And this guy, he's in town. He seems to have a yard sale every 3 weeks or so. And most of the time I don't even go because he kind of has it's like junk. So I'm not interested in most of the stuff that he has. I've bought a few things from him before, nothing special. I think this is like a flea market guy. I think he normally does flea markets and then just does yard sales on the side. But I did buy a few things because it's the first yard sale that I found for the weekend. And since I didn't find anything on Thursday, I was kind of in the desperation mode, which I shouldn't allow myself that, because then I end up buying stuff I shouldn't buy. Anyways, I paid 3 bucks for this jacket. This is a vintage Huskers jacket with the champion tag. So because it was champion, that's why I picked it up. it might be worth $20, $25, $30, who knows. And then I picked up this DVD set of Cedar Mott Kids sing-along songs. The only reason why I grabbed that is because I wanted to make sure I spent $5 because it was my first yard sale for the day, and all I had on me was fives, because I go to the ATM and I pull out a couple $100 in fives. And so I was trying to spend $5 so I didn't have to ask for change. And I was surprised with this. So I picked this up, and this is like 3 DVDs in one, or like it's a pack of 3 DVDs. And these are actually kind of rare. Some of them there's no listings at all. One of them, the only one is like used condition for like $15. So 3 in new condition, maybe $50, I don't know. But here's the reason why I was trying to round up, because I paid $1 for this map. And the wind kind of got a hold of it. And that's the reason why I placed it in the corner, so it wouldn't blow away. So he had a stack of maps for $1 a piece. And mostly road maps, state maps, that type of thing. Maps for state parks, you know, those type of things. You know, small attractions, you know, you'd find in the West or whatever. But this one caught my eye because it's for Cedar Point. And Cedar Point is the big amusement park in this area that I grew up going to and loved and enjoyed. And amusement park stuff does well anyways. So if you find amusement park stuff in your area, whether yard sales, garage sales, thrift stores, they tend to do really well, especially older stuff, especially for stuff for roller coasters that don't exist anymore, and definitely for amusement parks that don't exist anymore. Cedar Point still exists, but these were the maps that they used to hand out to the people when you walked into the gates. So you knew where everything was at. So you knew where all the rides were at. You knew how to get to the restrooms, the restaurants, first aid if you needed it. They handed these out to you. Now, of course, you use an app now. They don't hand out maps. But if you had the maps from the early 2000s, they're worth about $10 to $15. If you had one of the maps from the 90s, they're worth about $25. If you have one of the maps from the 80s, they're worth about $50. But this is one of the early maps from the 1970s. And you can tell because it looks like whoever got it wrote the date of the day that they went to Cedar Point on the map. Now that's going to bring down the value, but these are pretty rare. The last one sold on eBay for $115, I think it was, plus shipping. And it looks like I have the only one right now. Looks like no one else has one of these. It's in great condition other than the fact that someone wrote on it. But at least $100, maybe $125. Then I went to this other yard sale and found all these vintage shirts. Nothing special. It's not like they're amazing designs or anything. But I had to get these only because, I grab any vintage shirts. Look at the prices on these things. So, I even took the time to even write this. 10 cents for that shirt. 50 cents. I paid up for that one. 50 cents for that shirt. And then back down again for another 10 cents on that one. That's a cool shirt. It says Old Dog, anxious to learn new tricks. Nothing special. Now, the tags on these are really good. If you are looking for vintage shirts, always get ones that with the screen stars best. That is a very highly preferred tag for some reason. Now this family, they were air ballooners. They actually owned an air balloon and flew it. So they had a lot of air balloon memorabilia that they were selling off. Now, out of these shirts, here's what takes the cake. There's that one. Then there's this one. Pat Benatar, another Screen Stars. And what did they charge me for this? 10 cents. And the funny thing about it is I didn't even spend $1. I gave them $1 and said, just keep the change. So this is a tour shirt for Crimes of Passion. And when I looked this up on eBay, the only ones that were vintage, true vintage, not the repos, wasn't with her in this pose. It was a pose of her holding a microphone. It looked like she was singing, and she had her other hand up in the air. Those shirts, if you have them, it sells for $50 to $75, but I could not find one with her in this pose. So it could be a very rare shirt. Now, this is only a medium, so it's going to be really hard to sell. You want at least a large, if not an extra large. A little bit of fading, but that's acceptable. But I even used Terapeak, and I couldn't find it. I'm assuming I'm going to try to get at least $100 for the shirt, if not more. And then, this is actually the second sale that I went to. Now, there's this little old lady that goes to the same yard sales and garage sales in the area, and I kind of call her my yard sale buddy. I've probably run into her now for like 3 years, and she seems to beat me to the punch for all the yard sales and garage sales in the area. Somehow she knows before me. So we've gotten to know each other, and we joke around with each other, and we talk, and we kind of trade notes. Like, she'll ask me, hey, have you been to this one yet? Have you been to that one yet? What do you know about? Which ones have you gone to? And we kind of trade information. But she's this little old lady, probably in her 70s, if not older. Well, then last week I ran into her again, and we kind of got to that point of trading numbers. So she's like, hey, if you find this, that, and the other thing, give me a call. And so she does. I guess she has a antique booth, like at a antique mall or something. She has a booth. So she's looking for glassware and that type of thing, the stuff that you would find in antique booths. And so she knows the type of stuff that I was looking for. Vintage shirts and video games and old electronics and toys and that type of thing. And when I'm at this yard sale where I got the map, I was just leaving, and I get a call from her, and she said, Chris, you got to come down to this yard sale. I'm at so-and-so address. They've got a huge bin of video games. I know you want those. And they're only $1 a piece. And I was like, okay. I was only a few blocks away, matter of fact, just down the road. And so I rushed down there, and she had already left. And she was right. There was a huge bin of video games. Now, before I get to that, I ended up buying this pack, this tag team pack of WWF wrestling action figures from 1999, SummerSlam. I paid $5 for that. They're actually not worth that much. The last one sold in perfect condition, and the box on this one's really messed up. Sold for $12. So we'll see. I thought because it was WWF action figures still sealed new, I thought they'd be worth at least $40, $50, but they're not. So back to the video games. Now, if you remember last week in my video, if you didn't go back and watch it, I went to a yard sale where I ended up buying a huge duffel bag, a huge gym bag filled with video games for $40. Now, I went through all those video games, and it was mostly PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, but there was also a few Xbox One, a few original Xbox, and then there was a few, I think, PlayStation 3. I could be wrong on that. But there was like 70 games total, so I paid about 50 cents a piece. And I ended up finding 2 Jurassic Park games. It was the exact same game for PlayStation 2 that were worth $40 a piece. So one of those games would have paid for everything. And I've listed any of the games that are worth $10 or more, which left me with a bunch that are not worth that much. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet. I normally put them with systems, but I don't have enough systems to put them with. So, I mean, over time, maybe I will. But anyways, getting back to this. $1 a piece a game. There's the sign, $1 per game. They're mostly PlayStation 2, some PlayStation 3. There's some Nintendo DS in here. And I think there's a few Wii. But also in here, and there's got to be at least 50, 60 games. Check out what's on top. Nintendo GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Melee. That's worth $75 to $100 in itself. Pokemon Coliseum. That game's worth $125 to $150 by itself. And then check it out. Pokemon XB Gale of Darkness is worth $175 to $200 all day. And then all the other games. Who knows what else is in here? There might be other bangers in here and I don't even know it. So there you go. Friday. did me good. Thanks for watching.